YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another 7-round NFL mock draft, doing all the teams going in draft order. We got the Dolphins today, Miami Dolphins, who have 8 picks in the upcoming drafts. You can go a number of different routes here. They can go quarterback in the first round. They can go offensive line. They need some defensive linemen, so they can go that route as well. Our most recent mock draft, regular mock draft, I had them going the quarterback route in some way, so we went a little different route here. Right before we get started, check out our Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. Lots going on those. So check them out. Always talking with you guys on Twitter. Link in the description for all those. Moving on. Dolphins, first pick. I went Clelin Ferrell, defensive end from Clemson. The pass rusher, great career at Clemson. Was dominant. And he's starting to slide down a little bit because maybe he's not super flashy. He doesn't have the speed. But, he does have the technique. Handwork is great, and the strength. He has all that, and he gets to the quarterback, and he stops the run too. So I think this is a Brian Flores guy. I think it could be a Trey Flowers type guy for him, for their defense, and they definitely need a D-end. I'm hoping Charles Harris can step up this year for them. So, but even if you expect him to, you still need more guys like this. So Farrell would be a very good option. They need D linemen pretty bad. That's why in the second round, they got another one. And Charles Omenihu can play D-tackle for him. Played 3-4 end, can play that, or can play D-tackle. And right there, you upgrade your defensive line big time with just 2 picks. Omenihu I'm starting to like a lot, too. Some real good pass rush moves, can stop the run. It wouldn't completely shock me if somebody took him late first. Grade A draft here, and realistic at the same time. They get him in the second. Now let's work on that offensive line. So they get Greg Little in the third. Once known as a first-round pick, he's sliding a little bit. Could go second still, but it's realistic he can go third. Because other offensive linemen being recognized, they're hopping over him. So Greg Little, he can be had here in the third round, and he potentially can start at right tackle right away for the Dolphins. You can definitely find starters here in the middle of the round. Easy, very good offensive line class. And they go Little. They go 2 defense linemen in a row, and they go Little. And so this ends up being 2 offensive linemen in a row here. They get Wisconsin's guard, Ben Shovel. So he can stick right away, can start at guard for them right away if they needed him to. Maybe it's not going to be super pretty in the beginning, but it's going to be fine. I mean, we see what the Colts did last year. I know Quentin Nelson's a little different, but we see what they did with 2 rookie offensive linemen. So you're able to fix your D-line for the future and your offensive line in the future just like that in 4 rounds. So luckily the Dolphins, in my opinion, they don't need linebackers or secondary, so those are already just filled. So they can focus on these other things like this. And then another defensive end here, Jordan Brailford, Oklahoma State. He's got a ton of potential. Every time we've seen him in the East-West Shrine game, we've seen him at the Combine, he seems to be dominating. Oklahoma State plays a weird defense. They're moving him around a lot, and they should have just been sticking him at D-end. And that's what he'll do in a Brian Flores defense, and he eventually could be a starter. But you need a rotation for your pass rush. You need a rotation, and they definitely need more guys in there in Miami. And they get Brailford from Oklahoma State in there, and he can contribute right away, getting him in the 5th round. Next pick, they get Hunter Renfrow. I think they can use a guy that can play in the slot. Receiver that can play in the slot, why not? They grab another Clemson guy, Hunter Renfrow. He can get open. He can catch. I think the only reason he's down here is because the talent in this receiver class. The more flashy guys will go first. They'll push guys like this back, but Renfrow gets the job done. He can do it at a pretty solid level. And next pick, Clayton Thorson. So we wait for the quarterback in this scenario. I think Clayton Thorson is liked by some teams. There's rumors that he can go, way earlier than we think, or some of us think he's undrafted. And he does have, you can see he has the potential. He has a big arm. We've seen him throw with both hands too, pretty well. I think, people say that he just doesn't have the right talent around him, and I can see it. He'll make some big-time throws, and it'll look like it'll be an overthrow, but sometimes, the receiver probably should have been there. So, he could be a little more accurate. Wish he was a little more athletic, but, he can make the big-time throws with some time, so maybe he can sit a little bit. But with this scenario, mainly they're rolling with Fitzpatrick. Maybe there's a trade for Rosen in the works. Or maybe they are really tanking for Tua. They wouldn't be tanking. They're going to try to win. Maybe their goal is to get Tua or Herbert for next year, which I can see being realistic because you can build the team around the quarterback. I'm a believer in that too. I don't want to tank in no way, but I'm a believer in building the team for the quarterback, if that makes sense. So get your linemen ready. get your receivers ready, and then get the right quarterback. That doesn't mean pass on a really good quarterback just because you have to do step one. If there's a good quarterback there, obviously you take him. But, I could get on board with their scenario here, but I'm not a fan of tanking. I don't think you can do it in football, and I don't think that's what they're going to do or any part of their plan. So I don't get where that came from. Moving on to the last pick, Myles Gaskin, the running back from Washington. He got, last year I thought his tape was a little better last year. If he came out, I thought he'd be in the mid-rounds, but drops a little bit. You just don't get, his tape from this year wasn't that great, but it still wasn't bad. He was a good running back. He was dominant for them, key part of their success. But, a lot of wildcat, stuff you can't really judge a true running back on. You wish he'd be a little faster since he's undersized, but, he's a solid running back that they kind of need a shiftier guy down here. Because I like who they got. They got Drake and Balaj. I like those guys, but they definitely could use another one, maybe a shiftier guy down here. So really, it's D-line and offensive line. I think quarterback's the obvious one, but I think if they can focus on D-line and offensive line like they did, if they're not going quarterback like I did, if they don't go quarterback early, I think that makes a ton of sense. But they could very well go quarterback early, and I don't have a problem with that. So couple different scenarios Dolphins can go with. I like this route for them. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Again, we're going through all these teams. Eventually, we'll get there. A little bit of a process for these, but we got plenty. As soon as we get closer to the draft, a lot of NFL draft content coming. A lot going on this channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. That'd be much appreciated. 20K is our subscriber goal. Sport's been great. We're really getting up there, getting closer to 20K. And then clicking that like button will be much appreciated as well. But that's going to do it for this one. Stay tuned for much, much more NFL draft content. Goodbye.